Okay, so here we are inside of Ableton. I've got a track to master. It's a bit of an unusual one. I was provided with a stereo file as well as some other tracks that needs to be mixed in and then processed together. Let's listen to it. This is without the violins. Okay, so these are the violin stems that needs to be mixed in. This is without any processing. So basically Melodyne is a software that lets you manually tune whatever pieces of audio you have. You can change the pitch, you can change the format, you can change the notes themselves. So what I've noticed, that little thing in between here. So what you do, you go into the track, open up the Melodyne, click transfer and play the track. So that basically loads the audio inside the Melodyne plugin. Okay, that's enough to work with. Okay, so here we can see that this note isn't perfect. So what you do, you hold Alt. So basically the pitch isn't aligned in the center of the note where it should be. So that is the area what I'm trying to fix. So what we do, we go to pitch modulation. As you can see, this note glides, it takes a bit of time to glide to the other note, and that is basically the squeaky bit. So what we need to do, we need to even this out a bit. Yeah. That's already a lot better. Let's see if there's anything else we can fix. This note is a bit sad. So what we can do the same thing. And yeah. Yeah, lovely. So that's all we need. And now you basically need to resample the track. Because Melodyne is a bit of a weird one. Like it's saved into this track, and even if you remove the audio, it will still kind of be baked into that track for some reason. So what you need to do, you need to resample the audio into the new track. So what you do, go create a new track, go to resampling, and basically you need to send this track to this channel. Firstly, you do high pass filter, obviously, so avoid any low end rumble. Then what needed to be done was compress it and achieve even volume basically throughout the whole track. So use the glue compressor. So the louder parts are getting compressed, the quieter parts are barely touching, barely doing anything, and then I'm raising the overall volume by makeup gain. Then I added Soothe. Soothe is basically a plugin that gets rid of any resonant frequencies. Basically chuck that on anything really that you think might have any harsh frequencies. So what it does, it processes it on the fly, and really just, it does small things, really subtle, but if you have multiple tracks like this playing at the same time, it can create a bit of a harshness, and if you got Soothe on them, those frequencies just won't be there. Then I added some nice reverb from Valhalla, vintage verb. It's basically a medium ambience room. And I just turned down the mix a little bit. And then we add saturation to bring a bit of to excite that track a little bit and get a bit more frequencies out of there, so it's a bit more audible. The second bit of the violins has the same processing pretty much, and that will be it with the additional tracks. And let's move on to the stereo file. Let's listen to it without anything. So what I've noticed is that the vocal could be a bit more present, and I would like the drums to punch through a little bit more. Also, there's this guitar solo. That could be a bit more present in the mix, as any guitar solos should be. So those are those few things that I've noticed that could be fixed. I'm using Ozone 10 for mastering. It's a full-on suite that lets you do everything from EQing, compressing. It has a dynamic EQ. It has really nice saturation modules. It has a few limiter options as well. So let's turn everything off. In terms of the vocals and drums, Ozone has a, I would say, AI module that lets you rebalance the mix. You can get the drums louder, or you can get the bass louder, or you can get the vocals louder. The only thing is that you can have only one of these three options selected. So we fix drums this way, and we'll fix the vocal in a different way. Of course, you could have multiple instances of Ozone. Ozone is very CPU heavy plugin. Let's listen to it without. Have you noticed how the drums are much more prominent now? And what we can do about the vocals is we can turn on the multiband dynamics, which is basically a multiband compressor that you can set the bands however you like. I usually like to go to about 100, 110 for the low end, and then we go to about 500, 600 for the low mids. Basically, this band is where the vocals are present, so we're going to mainly work with this band, and then you go the higher band. You can compress the band that vocal sits in, and then raise the overall volume. So basically compress it. This is the essential stuff that you do with any compressor. You compress it and you turn up the overall volume. So notice it how the vocal suddenly start popping through more once we turn the compressor on. So this is without. And this is with. Without, with. So there we got it. We fixed the drums, we fixed the vocals. Let's move on to the guitar solo. And now we're gonna fix in the next module that's called Exciter, which is basically a multiband saturator that has multiple modes. Saturating modes. I always find that the triode, the basic, as it comes out of the box, works the best. The solo without anything. And this is the solo with the saturation. As you maybe have noticed, there's this amount raised over time. So it's because I set the automation just for this part where the guitar solo is what we have to do, we have to find the band that the guitar sits. So how we do it, we're just going to solo one band, and we're going to go and look for it. So just listen, just by listening it. So what we do, because obviously if we just turn it on, that will be on the entire time of the song, and that will have no effect on the guitar solo. So what we do, go to automation, we clicked on this button, and as you can see, I already done the automation. So you just draw a line, and then you just adjust it however you think is the best. I think this amount works the best. There's one more thing that we can do about this. I've noticed that so on the left side, there's one guitar that's panned to the left. There's another guitar that's panned to the right. And the guitar solo, it sits in the middle. So what we can do, we can narrow down the stereo field by making this particular moment slightly more narrow. So we turn on another module that's called Imager. That basically is again multi-band imager, and we can find a similar kind of band that works for the saturator, and you can automate basically this bands. So again, let's do it before and after. Just notice how much of more focus is on that solo guitar now with this. Perfect. Because I think this track doesn't have enough highs. That's why I also did here. And this next module, I just basically added a little high shelf for the more of the high frequencies presence. And let's have a look at the final master chain. I added one more high shelf. On basically any EQ that can do linear phase, that supports linear phase EQ, basically this is what you do at the final stage. And normal EQ such as standard Ableton EQ8 does not have linear phase EQ. What it basically does, if you're EQing, you're messing with the phase. Like during the creative process or mixing, it does not matter that much, but at the end, you just don't want to mess up with the phase, otherwise the results won't be the way that they're supposed to. Don't forget to have the mode in linear phase, and then you basically you raise the very end to add air to make the track sounds more crisp. Let's listen to it a bit before. And with. It's subtle, but all these small changes, it's gonna make a big difference in the end. After that, I like to add my favorite tape machine. It's Kramer tape machine, and what this does, it basically adds a bit more balls to a track, like make it thicker, give it a little bit of a buzz. It has a great preset. I usually go for the mastering ones, and I've picked this one that's called Soft Clean Compression, and maybe just turn down the flux tiny bit down. The tape machine makes the tracks sound less digital, and let's listen to this before and after. Has a lot more presence, especially in the low end. I do limiting in 2 stages. So before I let the signal go into a limiter, I use clipper. So I'm basically clipping off like all the drum peaks which would normally trigger the limiter, and the limiter would squish these transients down, which we basically don't want. I'm using this clipper. It's a free clipper, as the name gives it away. And what you do, you turn in the gain. We turn on the gain. And then we turn down the threshold for the clipping. So we're gonna be basically cutting off all the tops. Perfect. And now the track is ready for the final stage, which is limiting. I'm using Fat Filter Pro L2. Few settings to keep in mind. The look ahead time, turn it to the max. So basically it will delay the entire project by 5 milliseconds, and that will give time to limiter to read the signal beforehand. So keep the settings on modern, just turn up the look ahead. Set the attack time quite high, so this will, if there is any drum picks, it will let them through without crushing them. You want to unlink the release, channel link release. That means if there is something peaking on the left, the entire stereo signal would go down, but if you unlink it, only the left side will go down and the right side would stay unaffected, which gives you a cleaner sound. So, and now final sound with the limiter, before and after. Bang on. You could set this output level to be perhaps something just under the 0 dB. So again, the whole track before and after. Alright guys, thanks for watching.